Honourable member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
8 years of this Liberal NDP government, they're not worth the cost. While the U.S. economy is booming with a growth of 5.2%, Canada's economy is shrinking. Canada will have the worst GDP per capita growth in all developed nations. In fact, U.S. GDP per person will be $80,000. Canada's only $50,000. Never has a government spent and taxed so much on Canadians with so little to show. Will the Finance Minister stand up today and tell Canadians why she's taking more from them and making them poorer?
Yeah. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives continue to talk down the economy, allow me to add in a few more facts into this House. We have ensured that 1.1 million additional jobs are available to Canadians since the end of the pandemic, Mr. Speaker, and that's important because those are well-paying jobs. Mr. Speaker, wages have actually increased and outpaced inflation in this country. And the report that the Conservative colleague cites, Mr. Speaker, indicates that there was a significant upwards revision of Canada's growth in the second quarter in this country, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable Member from Northumberland, Peterborough South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. After 8 years as NDP Liberal government, the financial gap between Americans and Canadians has never been larger. The average GDP per capita in the United States is over $80,000. In Canada, it's merely $50,000. Unbelievably, Mr. Speaker, the situation is getting worse. The growth was over 5% in the United States this year. In Canada, it's shrinking by more than 1%. When will this government finally take responsibility for failing Canadians and change direction and adopt a common sense plan led by a common sense leader?
Once again, encourage all members, especially the member from Timmins James Bay, to wait his turn to ask a question. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member because he gives me the opportunity to talk about an American investment that just happened yesterday, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Dow Chemical made one of the largest investments in 126 years of history, Mr. Speaker. They're going to invest more than $10 billion in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, Mr. Speaker, to do the first net zero ethylene plant in the world, Mr. Speaker. We're going to be producing green plastics. We're going to create jobs. We're going to grow the economy. That's a plan for the future, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to put it in place, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Northumberland, Peterborough South.
Thank you very much. The reality is the more this government spends, the poorer Canadians get. Over the last 8 years, this government has imposed a record tax burden on Canadians, levels of debt and deficits never seen before in this country, and the result is the worst per capita growth rate since the Great Depression. Record food bank usage, 2 million Canadians going to a food bank every month. Why are these Liberals so hell-bent to bankrupt Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, our job as a government has been to balance compassion with fiscal responsibility, and that's exactly what we've done. We are there for Canadians with the Canada Child Benefit. We are there for families with supports. We're there for our seniors with supports, Mr. Speaker. And when the member opposite talks about being there for Canadians, I wonder why that very member has been filibustering our motion on the Canada Pension Plan in Finance Committee for weeks now, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to be there for Canadians.